All right, good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 182nd, I believe, episode of the artist playthrough of Book of Hours, our first run through YouTube. Also starting to test the edges of whether or not we'll finish in time for House of Light, but let's not worry too much about the DLC because we're having such a good time with the base game. So we finished reading Nin's Cages, and we are on our way to leveling up Quenchings and Quellings. Now I'm just trying to remember if I believe I'm already reading, yes, I am already reading The Sky in the Scar, and we're picking up our flowers. So in this case here, really, we're ready to just talk with Wakefield and call it a day. There 'tis a Gabino Tizzer, Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So let's read about the affair of the messenger's casket. In a hidden fold of the mountains above the city of Cluj lies the enigmatic relic they call St. Mihail's coffin. Decades of patient work have finally breached its outer shell. And just a reminder here, we're talking to Mr. Zachary Wakefield, marksman, detective, renegade. He has always been a quiet man, but since he left the Suppression Bureau, he has grown even quieter and terribly still, except for his fingers and for his eyes, always in restless motion. So we're going to have a chat with him about the affair. Librarian, I can see you. It was open once before when they locked him away. Try a book with as much with as much mystery knock as their knock interest. I know the key, I only need its name. Alright, so I think he just needs 4 knocks, so we should be able to help with that. Yep, more travel. Oh, we've already given him traveling at night, so let's see if we can find another 4. I did get this question in the comments, so I'll just cover it again here. The main reason, so I am being overly cautious with this, but essentially the main reason here is that once I give him any text to satisfy his knock interest, he's going to go from 4 to 5. Which means any 4 texts that I didn't already give Wakefield can no longer be used to satisfy his curiosity. So if I kind of go in the opposite directions, if I give him the most powerful knock text and work my way down, there's a danger that I run out of knock texts when the time comes. Now, the fact of the matter is that you only get visitors every season, and it's not the same visit. Like, you only get a visitor once, at most once for each event. So the likelihood of me running out of books is fairly low, but I like to act sort of, in general, whenever I play a game, I kind of like to act as if it's going to go on forever. And that way it just sort of makes sure that I can, I just sort of make sure that I don't run out of necessary things. So this is another time. That was the first time. Anyways, I think we've got a pretty clear idea about what we're going to do tomorrow. So let's say I've already got a little bit of the work out of the way to begin with, right? So we've now got the level 8 Quenchings and Quellings. So maybe the more interesting question for me to ask is what happens with each flame is fuel? Do I want to try and read that while... So we've leveled up Quenchings and Quellings. Do I want to try and push further? So one thing that's tempting here would be to level up Inks of Containment. I know it's nice for me to, boost up things like Magaphine Mysteries and all of that. I've normally wanted to raise the level of the lower end things, but one exception I do make is for the inks, because generally the inks produce useful things. In fact, Inks of Containment is the last... sort of the last of the inks that isn't level 9. Now, that does kind of commit me to using a lot of elements of the soul. Yeah, okay. I think I will actually level up Inks of Containment, which means I probably shouldn't be messing around with each flame as fuel. Did I forget to renew? Nope, we're good. Better now. Alright, so we've got time for one more run at the Sweet Bones. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. And back into balance. So I should clarify, it's not earth-shaking here, right? I'm still going to need 6 more memories, but those memories aren't that difficult to get. And if we get lucky with the weather, sunny day, storm, gale, snow is a little much to ask for in spring, but certainly there's a real chance that we'll have a 3rd card before we get started for the day. All right, Bronze Spintria for our trouble. And just to recap, Dr. Peel, confident that the occupant of St. Mihail's coffin would escape soon, was equally confident that someone or something would be eaten by something or someone. He seemed quite chipper about it. MCO Lee suspected St. Mihail's coffin might contain a name of the Chandler, perhaps. She said the second one she'd heard of mentioned that year. She was clearly perturbed by the possibility. Yvette Southey, inspired by the stories of St. Mihail's coffin to look into the story of St. Columba's sarcophagus, seemed to find what she sought. Always the tide, she said. Daymare left Hush House with a plan to ensure St. Mihail, whatever he might actually be, stayed in his coffin. Princess Coquille believed that she'd learnt from her research at Hush House how to breach the coffin, and Zachary Wakefield seemed to think that he'd found the name of the coffin's key here at Hush House. Finally, Moth Orchid is soft as velvet to the touch, except when it changes. And pluck the petals of the Lenten Rose. Okay, so I think we're going to... We're going to continue the cell beautification project. And we are well and truly done for the day. At this point, we're just kind of watching the lower level pumps do their thing. Okay. I want to make sure that the Cheerful Ditty is ready to go. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Now, we've been a little while into night. 51 seconds, there's a small chance. I think probably we're just going to be on the wrong side of the day with these pumps. I guess technically wrong side of the night, but I think we're going to be down a medal for today. But again, we more or less have the game plan for quenchings and quellings and hopefully inks of containment. So it's a nice to have, but not essential. So that more or less, I figure, 6 minutes in any given day in Book of Hours. So we'll do the usual tricks. I don't think we're going to have any need for yeah, we don't think we'll have any need for FOSS. So help with letters, I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. So that gets us started. Now, there is a small dilemma that I face in terms of how far I want to pursue this idea of leveling up inks of containment. So that one is going to be Moon Winter. There's a little bit that I can adjust there, but I think it makes sense for us just to go through the inventory again. So no impulse, no satisfaction. No revelation. Secret thresholds as rows, actually, so that doesn't help us. Contradictions does. what I'm going to do here, I'm just looking for the moon stuff at this point, so... gossip, no. Fear, no. Regrets, no. Stolen secrets, yes. Confounding parables, yes. So salt we already had on the list, and then none of these change the story. Just double checking on inks of containment. Okay. So out of my previous list, remembering that we want moon and winter, so then we have 4 or 5, bittersweet certainty. Hindsight. Regret. Salt. And the Newman. Okay. So, same plan as before. In this case, we'll go for the things that Mrs. Kill can't generate. But in this case, the bittersweet certainty and the salt are fairly high priority targets. We can use both lists. So, Queen's turn. I don't think I'm going to commit to the pale. The pale desk, it's actually occurred to me, is one of the few desks that uses up all of the high value elements of the soul in terms of what you can get. Like so. Excuse me. If you use the FET or the so if you use Arab, you get information. You get like a memory. If you use FET, you get tuppence. As same with Trist. Health, Core, Shapt, Whist, and Metal will give you a little bit more. So in general, I kind of like to think of FET and FET, Arab, and Trist as sort of the softer ones that I'll read books with. So I believe in economic terms, the Pale Desk is sort of the largest opportunity cost in terms of using it. But again, this isn't a game about making money. My playthroughs are basically the opposite of Thurza Plague. Anyways, neither here nor there. Let's read the Black Book of Brittany. So we've got the salt, we've got the bittersweet certainty. I guess we can get the contradictions and confounding parable. That's fear. And then I think it's the reading, yeah. And I can never remember where we are in terms of we'll do Origins of the Hours. Oops. Alright, gives me something to think about. The pumps sputter and die, but they've done their work. Alright, uncovered depths. Once more, the sea has withdrawn from the caves of the isle. So again, we'll have to wait to get the metal back, but we can open up the submerged sea caves. The sea has claimed these caves. The tide thunders below. I'll need to find some way to lower the water level before I can enter. Okay, the sunny day... Sorry, I think I had said that this would help quenchings and quellings. It's actually... I need the stormy one, so sunny day doesn't help me here. But that's fine. I'm still pretty confident in terms of being able to deliver what we need today. So Mrs. Kill has seen more of the world than she usually lets on. Conversations with her yield the occasional surprise. And we've got our cheerful ditty again. So again, depending on how things go with Mrs. Kill, in fact, I should take a minute here and see what I need to get done. We'll wait for Mrs. Kill to do her thing, but I think this will be one of these times I want to cash in on some of my elements of the soul. Okay, that solace helps me right away, so we're 3 of the 8 that we need. So I need a total of 5 memories for quenchings and quellings. And then to level up Inks of Containment, which I'll move into position. It's technically 0 of 6. So I guess in total I need 11 elements of the soul, where 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 clearly were not there. But that's going to change once we get the memory, so I'll just change the count accordingly. Okay. The Queen's Turn, a 16th century translation of the Barrowchild's account of Lagia's turn, when Lagia, the Queen Unsated, was offered the opportunity to enter the service of the Hours of the Triple Knot, as long as she repudiated her brother-lover Antaios. Lagia accepts, setting aside the arts of the Low Red Sun associated with Antaios. She bargains, however, for freedom for her daughters. The Hours of the Triple Knot accept casually, knowing that Lagia has devoured her daughters. But wily Lagia has decided in the secret hollow of her heart that she will adopt any who ask, if they can prove their fierceness. The traditions described here, the ones generally described as hill and hollow, are associated with Lagia before her turn. But now that she is a name of the Red Grail, they might also be safely used before an altar of the Triple Knot. So that's the salt. Now I'm actually going to put that on the... I'm going to put that on the Inks of Containment side. The Black Book of Brittany, a volume of ink lore gifted to St. Brendan's by Brian of Brittany, who was made Earl of Cornwall after the Norman Conquest. The black flower lies heavy, but the roots of the watchman's tree run deep, and they may not be hidden forever. The black flower, spoken of as a doom or guise, can be held at bay with the last ink of power brewed from the pale mixture in the presence of sufficient winter with the arts of containment. Bittersweet certainty, eventually the sun in rags always brings its beautiful ending. De Bellis Virorum, an 18th century epic poem by the pseudonymous Solipstos. The poem elliptically describes a war between beasts, weather phenomenon, and arcane concepts. It's quite specific about their tactics. Sorry, phenomenon, non. The two unjoined and the horned disfigured. Consequently, blood. Now this one has to go to Inks of Containment, something uncomfortable. We've got Origins of the Hours. The sage and ecstatic Soham, a frequent visitor to the Mansis, claimed to have discovered the beach crow in person. Discoursed with the beach crow in person. Soham later insisted on a sky burial. Soham's writings veer from poetry to confession. He identifies from flesh those who were mortal, from blood those who arose from sacrifice, from light, entry from the glory, and from stone those who arose before his knowledge. He insists that Moth was the first god who was blood, but later contradicts himself and claims that it was the Red Grail. Right, that one definitely has to be for the inks. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers to the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. So, first things first, we're going to restore some elements of the soul. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie, with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. So, I'm going to say we've got 3 for the our primary goal, which is quenchings and quellings, and we've got 4 for the 6 that we need for inks of containment. So technically, we need 7 memories. And again, we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, although we need 2 of these for the the actual leveling up. So as long as Mrs. Kill gives us a couple of things that we can work with, I think we should feel okay in terms of where the day's work is going to go. The Sea Caves, the Curia's last secret, right under the Governor's Collar's nose. Levinson, Blackwood, and Vloren all continued their careful investigations of the Brandkrug Sea Caves. Many of the species here are unknown to Cornwall. Some have not been seen anywhere under the sun. So if we want, we can explore the sea caves, splash cautiously through the shallower tunnels. We have the menacing phosphorescence. The pumps have drained enough water to splash through, but everything is spatched and splotted with sickly, alien, wondrous, mesmeric light. When I retreat, I find the same glow on my boots. Whatever I do, I should not do it hastily. So that'll take 14 moon or 14 nectar, so we're a little lucky being in spring. So miners do have a bit of moon, but the other reason we're lucky we're in spring is that, or actually sorry, it's nectar comes in autumn with the Orchard Keeper. So yeah, it would be nice if I can clear this out. I believe we have moon. I think Weaving the World actually had moon. I know the Great Counterfeit did as well. But either way, not something that Mrs. Kill is going to handle, so we will leave that be. And yeah, for now we're just going to see where the day takes us. Right now we're basically doing the things that we need to, which is restoring elements of the soul. So I'll restore 2, then we'll go back to sort of cycling through the elements of the soul for money. And again, if Mrs. Kill doesn't wind up giving us what we need, fair enough. You know, we'll find another strategy. Okay, that storm's very welcome. So we're 4 of the 8 that we need. Better now. So let's bring back... I'll bring back a Tryst just because that should let me level up the Inks of Containment. May not be a bad idea for me to... Actually, you know what? She can give me... 1, 2, 3, 4. She can give me 4. I was gonna say maybe we use these right away, but it occurred to me she actually gives me more. Oh man, she actually gives me more for the heart than she does anything else. All right, Stolen Secrets welcome though, so that's 5 of the 6. Might actually make sense to. Let's use that old moon. It's a little funny to do it in the reverse order, but I guess I'm wasting my time getting that Tryst back, but when I thought I'd understood, I'd only begun. there. Tizingamino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. What I'm going to do here, I will go to the Nocturnary to get the old wound back. I guess we could use the Arab here. Explore an old wound to awaken the violent resonances within. So we need 4 memories. We've got one of them here. I guess we can use the list. So technically this is sufficient already, but we'll see what we get from Mrs. Kill. Although at some point I should be deciding what I want to do with the... I should decide what I want to do with the surplus elements of the soul. The skill is now level 7. Its power aspects have also increased. So, inks of containment, the inks in which the histories are preserved. So it did occur to me that with glaziering and lightsmithing, that is lantern and sky, so I can actually carry over the cheerful ditty overnight if I need. Same with storm, actually. So I'm going to start... So again, I want to have the 4 elements of the soul ready to go, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start slowly filing elements into other activities. So for instance, it'd be kind of interesting to see what I can get from the sea caves. I believe that's a scale and moon one though, so maybe we'll use the tryst for that. Not sure actually. But one easy one for me to do right now is generate the storm. We know that's not going to have any kind of replacement, so... Investigate the object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. Better now. Okay. I can definitely afford to make a bit of money, so there's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 worth of odd jobs. The thread parts, the weave is empty, the skies cry out. Storm, thunder roaring, lightning lashed skies. Tizingamino Tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. And move gingerly while the pain lasts. So also, if I need, I can actually press the old wound into service, but I think that's not giving enough credit to my existing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8 that we need. We've got 4 elements of the soul ready to go, so here we will take the time to see what's in the sea caves. Echoes in the endless night. Once we get the bells and the birds, I will use these three remaining elements of the soul. I'm hoping we get at least 1 more from Mrs. Kill, and that's just so that I can hang on to the cheerful ditty for the next day. Actually, it'd be nice if I can get 2 from Mrs. Kill, but I think that's impossible if I'm committing. Well, okay, we'll wait for maybe 1. Okay, yeah, I am going to wait for 1 more from Mrs. Kill. It's going to make me a little late, but if I can get a Newman and a cheerful ditty to push me ahead for each flame is fuel, that will make me quite happy. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Now, I didn't time that out properly, so we're not going to bother... £7 notes, swirls and curlicues in solemn hues. Until recently, one could exchange banknotes for gold in the banks of the capital. A £7 note can still be exchanged for rarer metals in rarer places. So I'm willing to wait on this just because there's the possibility of getting a useful Newman. Okay, the gossip doesn't help me that much, but you know what? We had a pretty good run of it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need 2 more. We have satisfaction. We don't have bittersweet certainty. Don't have hindsight. Don't have regret. Do have storm and solace and cheerful ditty. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Let's... I'm going to take a minute here just to work out what happens with each flame his fuel. So we've got 14 sky. So that's 1 from Faust. I think Sacre Lamea is my best sky. Yeah, so that's 8 there. So that's 9. So if I add 5... Okay, yeah, so we do want the Newman for sure. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is that we use the bittersweet certainty... bittersweet certainty and the salt from the core. And we wait a little while, and the Faust will generate one of the Sky Newman. Okay. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. To a pale lady. So we don't read the Newman right away, and that's because I need enough time to actually be able to level up the thing that I'm pursuing. I probably have enough time to do it now, but again, I'm happy to wait. Actually, I also need to figure out which of these is my sky text. So I'm pretty sure Back into Balance had a sky element. Actually, it might have been the only one. No, I think the Old Lost Music, which would be the Turquoise Hand. I'm going to try reading that one. It's a little scary to do, but I think I'm okay to mess around with it. I mean, you'd think from the name, right, the Old Lost Music, this would be almost certain. But we'll see. Alright, gleanings from the darkness. An outsized egg. An ostrich egg? A crocodile egg? Surely neither. Alright, there it is, a gimme no tizzer. Mrs. Kill, as every local gossip knows, came from France to marry Mr. Kill, but there's scant trace of the continent in her accent now. So, as hoped for, Mrs. Kill has come through with a big fancy... So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Yeah, I am going to wait for the 2 that we generate for the simple reason that I will be up the cheerful ditty for the next book. I was scared for a second. I was like, wait, we are reading these books, right? Alright. Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone, but the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of Oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brankrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. To a Pale Lady, a collection, Franklin Bancroft's Letters to Ava de Wolfe. There is a substantial body of erotic pleading and half-finished poetry, but also learned discursions on matters mythical and marine, as well as notes towards a comic opera on which Franklin and Ava were apparently collaborating. Do not return, O my light, to the sea. None of us can be what we were. That is history's curse. None of us know what we may be. That is history's gift. Your mothers, and the mothers of your mothers, are caught in eternity's jaws like a rope hem in a trap. It is the pearl that shines, but the tide that returns. Okay. So first things first, we want to get that last level of quenchings and quellings. So yes to the Newman, solace, storm, satisfaction, hindsight, bittersweet certainty, and salt. We'll use the whist. There's always more to learn. And it doesn't really matter what Mrs. Kill gives us. We're definitely going to keep the cheerful ditty overnight. Now the night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. Right here. So the nice thing here is that I don't need to spend any elements of the soul to set myself up to read the book. We can start reading the book first thing in the morning. And then from there, we can decide what I'm going to do in terms of my elements of the soul, in terms of generating the memories that I need, as well as deciding maybe whether or not it's time to try and clear out the menacing phosphorescence. Also, we finished leveling up Quenchings and Quellings, arts which quench fires and bring solace to the troubled mind. A true adept is never troubled by fire, nor by fever, nor by restless spirit. Ambrose Westcott. The Turquoise Hand, a calligraphic manual of Ramsund, which employs as exemplar text Farid Udin's Conference of the Birds. At noon the sun moves like the beating of a wing. At sunset he sends the herald child with her candle. At midnight he sends the wind that extinguishes the candle flame. Commentary, illustrations, and interleavings carry revelations never intended in the original, a sense of history, and the senses of histories. That old lost music. In the right histories, every song ever sung still lingers in the wind, an echo untouched by the demands of eternity. Alright, I think that's going to be it for today. So the overall plan, we've worked out how we're going to level up, or we're going to read Each Flame is Fuel. So the greater problem is going to be leveling up Glaciery and Lightsmithing. And if I could work out a proper plan for getting that to the top level, we're very likely going to take that to level 9, but we'll make sure when the book is done. But once that's leveled up, what I'm going to do is see if we can dedicate some resources towards clearing out the menacing phosphorescence. It's not overwhelming that I be able to unlock this room, tomorrow, let's say, because I still have a number of crates that I can open. And then there's, like I said, I've kind of been hinting at least one other book. There's actually 2 that I know of for sure. In terms of Newman. And then, of course, there's the remaining books for me to read as well. But I think opening up the rooms of the house might be... I don't know, we're just so close to opening up all of it that I figure that's kind of a nice way to go. But anyways, all of that will be happening in the future. Our big goal definitely is going to be reading the last remaining not a text that doesn't house a Newman, especially because we'll be getting something from Oriflamme soon, I think. But all of that will happen in the future. Again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.